I was recruited to FGCU to play Division I soccer and immediately submersed myself in the athletic world. I formed bonds with my teammates that I never thought would be broken. I considered them my best friends. Near the end of the season, I tore my meniscus and ended up having surgery. I decided it would be better if I no longer played collegiate level sports. After making one of the hardest decisions in my life to walk away from one of my dreams, I wanted to become more involved on campus. That's when I chose to go through recruitment and became a Zeta. This turning point in my life reinforced my belief that when one door closes, another will open.
Completing the half marathon is something I thought I would never even dream of achieving, and it helped define me as a leader. I trained hard and had the support of my mother, who was training for the marathon. Reaching this goal has taught me that as a leader, to achieve my goals, it takes drive, determination, and the support of others. With these things, nothing is impossible.
My best friend decided she was dropping out of ZTA. I was always timid and following her example since our friendship began freshman year. It was her idea and encouragement that even led me to join a sorority with her. Long story short, I looked up to my friend and sister throughout our pledging and time in ZTA. We were a pair during all of our events, so when she decided to drop without any room for discussion, I was shocked and my membership in ZTA took a major turn. This moment left me speechless, angered, and puzzled. After this watershed moment though, I decided to stop thinking that I needed my friend to make the most of Zeta. I was going to be my own person and become involved more than ever.
My watershed moment happened my sophomore year of college. I was elected treasurer of Zeta chapter in November. I loved my position and completed all my tasks to the best of my ability. I was even able to get our chapter out of financial debt. All was going well until grades came out and I didn't make the required GPA to hold office. I was devastated, but after talking to Stephanie Powell, our mentor at the time, she reminded me of how much of an impact I've made in Zeta chapter. She told me I could run for an EC position the following year if my grades came up, which they did. From this whole experience, I learned as a leader, sometimes you fall down, but you have to get right back up.
My mission is to assist current and potential ZTA members in making the most of every opportunity ZTA has to offer and inspire them to become the best they can be in all areas of their lives.
My mission is to display unique strengths, values, and beliefs to young women, challenging them to better themselves and the people around them.
I aim to live my life in accordance with Zeta Office Creed while fostering growth and inspiring positive changes within each chapter of our fraternity.
My first semester on Executive Council, I served as new member coordinator and decided to completely revitalize our new member program. During this time, I was able to break down some ineffective chapter traditions and align our program to the National ZTA Guide to New Member Programming. My allies were my sisters who shared in the ideas and saw the need for change. One way we won over our opposition and gained support was by asking for input from members of all ages. The change in the new member program allowed us to increase retention and emphasize sisterhood and also become invested in the future of our chapter.
After acting as change agents, we felt it was important to sit down and evaluate the changes we had made. Some of the changes turned out to be more beneficial than we thought, and others not as much. But from taking the initiative to make these changes, the chapter members were able to see that the chapter was capable of change.
Being a good leader is not so simple as giving good advice and directions. It also depends on the ability to set the example for those you lead. It becomes misdirection to tell others to do what is right when your own decisions are in contrast with those actions. I learned by paying attention to members of my chapter that it makes all the difference to be the person that you want others to be, because your actions have a much larger effect on how you influence those around you. When explaining to new members how important it is to maintain good behaviors as Zeta, it's empty words when they come from a member who doesn't follow that same advice. I personally learned that while instructing new members on how to make the best decisions in their social lives, it served me best by also abiding by both the law and the chapter's restrictions on drinking underage.
To do what you say you will do means to follow through with commitments, ideas, and actions for the betterment of the greater good, even if it's not the popular decision. To do what you say you will do means to be true to yourself, to walk the walk, and to keep sight of your goals when the going gets rough.
Do what you say you will do has a vast meaning for me. It means that even when you don't have enough energy to wake up from your 10-minute nap to go to a philanthropy event, you do it because you promised your sisters you would. It means that you feel every responsibility of your office, job, or obligations as a daughter, wife, or friend because you care enough about those relationships to do so.
Someone in my chapter who inspired a shared vision is Chloe Kuntz-Phillips, who served as Fred chairman, not always the most exciting program council position in our chapter. We had fallen into the good old Jeopardy Fred once a month during chapter. Chloe was creative, innovative, goal-oriented, and she had vision to help us gain a better appreciation for our fraternity. She brought alumni and collegians together for a talent show showcasing chapter and Zeta history, hosted our first Stand Up, Stand Out program, created a creed that spread down an entire hallway, and brought us together to celebrate Founders Day. She did something truly remarkable for the program.
During my time as president, we incorporated a shared vision of building a legacy into our chapter. We addressed chapter issues and were able to implement changes in every aspect of our chapter. The vision of a better future inspired us to develop an environment that fostered a spirit of love and sisterhood. This shared vision allowed us to inspire members and officers to set high standards and goals for themselves and create a better future by addressing the chapter issues and making changes in every aspect of our chapter. This theme of building a legacy was a shared vision that all members identified with, and this theme helped increase the commitment to exceed our former expectations and resulted in the increase of chapter participation, retention, and most importantly, sisterhood.
In order to model the way for others, you need to know the way for yourself.
As president, I wanted to be the best example for my chapter. I could not expect them to be the very best chapter member if I, their leader, was not being the very best I could be. So I took the time to study and keep a stellar grade point average, became involved in a leader of different organizations, befriended other Greeks, especially other sorority members, and volunteered hours of my time to both Zeta projects and other service projects around campus with no complaints. I constantly asked different members to join me at different activities around campus to help encourage them to better their already great selves.
I acted as a change leader for my chapter after attending NLC in the summer of 2009 when I learned about the business of sisterhood. I decided there needed to be a change in the way my chapter viewed recruitment. Many sisters disliked the workshops, parties, and recruitment as a whole, and the sisters' attitudes were reflected in recruitment. My fellow EC officers, advisors, and assistants supported me and helped encourage other chapter members to jump on the bandwagon of the enthusiastic recruitment attitude. For the most part, seniors were the only people who opposed this new outlook because they either liked the old way of doing things or they already checked out since they were graduating. I overcame their opposition by giving them bigger roles in their last recruitment and making it as special as possible for them.
While traditions are good because they can help bring sisters together, new, innovative ideas can spark a clean slate and a fresh beginning.
Brooke Boswell is a natural-born leader and really enabled others to act. She always got people involved. She would say to a sister, "Oh, come here, I have the perfect thing for you," or "Let's get busy. This will be fun." She simply made you feel welcome and needed for your contribution to the chapter's efforts.
Following a social event problem, our chapter really had to pull together and look at what our chapter really was, what our chapter was appearing to be to outsiders, and what we wanted both to be in the future. In order to do so, we worked together as pledge classes and officers to outline the things we believed were strong about our chapter and things that needed to be improved. By doing this, each chapter member and class ultimately had a voice. By enabling others to act, I strongly believe that the chapter as a whole became closer as each member felt a part of something big.
I definitely think that you can accomplish so much more through team efforts than individually. I took this to heart when I became the new member coordinator. I decided to have an assistant as well as a 10-person committee. The committee allowed girls who normally don't get involved to develop into leaders, and several of them went on to join program council and executive council.
Collaboration reaches its potential when members feel valued and appreciated.
I learned firsthand that when the heart is encouraged, nothing is impossible. At convention last year, every Zeta was given the opportunity to meet National Council. I come from a chapter that is constantly struggling to keep our chapter alive against a campus that is definitely not pro-Greek life. At the time of convention, I had a grim outlook on both my current presidency and the future of my chapter. In my eyes, we had made some headway and were trying our best, but it seemed that my chapter was, to put it easily, stuck in neutral. When my turn came to talk to the officers, to my surprise, they knew me, my chapter, and our so-called lousy accomplishments, and they were proud of us. My outlook on my chapter, my presidency, and myself as a leader instantly changed. I went back to my chapter inspired to continue to lead our change journey.
This year, we started a journal throughout our chapter. We drew names from a hat so that each of us had a random sister to pass the journal on to. When it was our turn with the journal, we each wrote a letter to the person and passed the journal along to her. We each took our time to produce these letters to one sister, but the feeling of reading through the pages of letters to one another was overwhelming.
While I was president, there was one member of EC that was especially troublesome. She regularly skipped meetings, didn't contribute to group conversations and brainstorms, and was generally absent from the chapter. At first, it was very frustrating that it seemed like we were all working so hard and she just wasn't. I made it a personal goal to be extra encouraging and reach out to her in small ways to try to bring her back in. I thought it went unnoticed until she came to me in my office hours and broke down in tears and expressed that she didn't feel like she fit in with the rest of the group. I told her all of her positive attributes and contributions and what made her special among the members of EC. This really changed her attitude and we were able to work as a close group shortly after.
Sometimes the smallest victories can be the most rewarding. I believe that people can be motivated to achieve great things by embracing the smaller accomplishments along the way.